Hey y'all, it's Kenny Groom from Beyond Normal Media, where every founder story is a journey worth exploring. I've sat down over the last couple years, I can't believe it, with 100 plus founders on this very camera, on stages in person, virtually. Some of the conversations have happened behind the scenes. And one thing has become clear, right? There's like the success leaves a story. All right, today I want to share a few things I've learned the hard way, or just along the process of me figuring out through these conversations, like what a story is composed of. Think about it that way. So I want to start out when I first started recording founder stories. I thought the ones that would resonate the most would be those perfect stories, right? Somebody raised $1 million, they had a $1 million+ exit. All the founders, and that the stories that we hear where the founders got the optimal amount of customers, they've got the optimal amount of marketing, everything works out right, like, but that's not reality. And what I found was that the ones that actually stuck out to me and a lot of our listeners are the ones where they're real authentic stories. What I mean by that, right? These are the stories where somebody wasn't, they admit they were a little frightened to take that leap of faith on themselves. Maybe they had some obstacles that forced them to look in the mirror. We've had founders on our platform that have really expressed, the whole spectrum of, real authentic stories, right? And for me, what I've learned from that is like real stories, that real authentic feeling that you get is going to be greater than that perfect story when it comes to storytelling. And I think that's relevant now because we're in an age where the AI can give you, quote unquote, what the perfect story is, right? We can go to any classic or great director, no matter the medium, producer, and we can see what their style was composed of, and we have a way with the machines to replicate it. But that is not what makes a real authentic story that resonates and connects with people. It's that honesty that a founder is really not willing to have, right? And tell, be completely honest, be naked in a sense, right? In front of the world. That kind of honesty about maybe bootstrapping, the burnout that comes with the creating something, losing customers, pivoting after failure, after failure, after failure. Those are the stories that resonate with people, and people connect with that more because they can actually apply it to their real life. They understand, your listeners, your audience understands that their lives are not perfect. So why would they connect with a perfect story, right? When it has no relation to their life. There's no real connection there, right? And this leads me to my next point, which is, why what within these real stories is driving your customers, your audience to connect with you? It's about that emotion. Those emotional connections are where the wins happen. I've learned that emotion is a powerful engine behind great storytelling. It's not about what you build, it's why it matters. What do people feel when they see your solution? I can think back to we've just on this season alone, right? We had Pabel Martinez, who's the founder of Plural, right? And he took a gamble on himself where he cashed out his 401k, his retirement accounts, right? And so he was, by most people's measurement, he was on top of the world. He worked in tech. He cashed that 401k out, right? And that's something that elicits anxiety for folks, that elicits excitement for others, right? Who maybe early on in their journey, right? They're the ones that, they want to understand what it feels like. What is the thought process around taking a gamble on yourself fully, cashing out everything? Like we often hear when we look at articles and things like that, we hear about the folks where it worked out for them, right? They cashed everything out, and then there's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? That's not an emotion that the average person can connect with, because the average person is dealing with real shit, right? Excuse my French, but not really. Like, we gotta these emotions, right, that the founders exhibit, who we all connect with, like that's how they're gonna they win hearts before they win your dollars, right? That's something I remember when it was season 6. We had Pauleanna Reid on. She's a ghostwriter extraordinaire, and she talked about, she was in corporate America at the time, and she worked up what I call the gumption to have conversations with an executive. And the first thing was, she was able to tell the executive her opinion. A lot of people in corporate America and in some of these roles, like, they don't necessarily feel encouraged to do that. But then the second thing she did was she elaborated on the value that she can bring in the given situation where somebody needed somebody to ghostwrite a piece of work for them, right? So there's two things there. She stood up against the odds and actually had an opinion in a situation where a lot of people may say, "Hey, I don't have the status, I don't have the power in that situation. I shouldn't be speaking up." Like, that's not necessarily the mindset of somebody who's along the path of being a creator, a owner, a founder of something. What Pollyanna exhibited in that situation is something that, if we could bottle it up and put a tag on it, that would be core to somebody who's willing and wanting to take a gamble on themselves, right? We've had other founders like come on our platform and actually break down in tears. Like, that's the type of emotion. It could be a good emotion, in terms of good, right? In terms of happy feelings, in terms of you know, that lasting feeling that we all are looking for. But then on the flip side of that, there's the terror, there's the horror in a lot of these situations, that the founder story, can still use these emotions, like, that are oftentimes considered bad emotions. Founders can use that as fuel to tell their story and make sure that their story connects with their audience. Super, super powerful, right? Um, these are going to be the stories that have that emotional component, going back to real being greater than that perfect, right? Those real stories that convey these emotions, that's going to be what moves people to your product, moves people to your solution, moves people to just connect with you, right? It takes more than just telling a story to get somebody to connect, right? Connect with you consistently, right? They may listen to your story one time, they may see it on their social media feed, but what is there to keep them coming back, right? And so when that storytelling, when it's real, authentic, and it captures those emotions that drive your audience, oh, like, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. I want to talk a little bit about, in this segment as well, why the emotion itself, right? When you're whether you're creating, a piece of content like a podcast, a testimonial video like this, or some short form content, right? When you have a video that has those emotional connections, you're giving your audience, your listener permission, right? You're giving them permission to be their authentic self, that's why that real resonates specifically right now. Like it is so easy. I'll say it again. It's so easy for somebody to copycat and take your story and make it their own now. Like people are doing it every single day, right? But when you have a way to connect consistently with somebody and you consistently give them that feeling, which I don't think the AI can do right now, at least that's my take on it. I don't think the AI is there yet. It's probably getting there, and so we'll have to come up with something later. But for now, right, that emotional connection that we can have through real authentic stories is a game changer, right? And that can level the playing field for a small business owner, for a smaller a creator starting out who is trying to maybe go up against some of the bigger companies that we all use each and every day, right? Those big tech companies, those big media companies, they have a lot of assets, but those assets don't necessarily give them an advantage when it comes to emotional connection. Lastly, I want to touch on this real fast as I've had these conversations again, 100 plus conversations highlighting amazing founders, right? I've got some advice or some takeaways for some founders, right? Whether when a founder sits in front of whether it's this mic or it's a virtually where we have them on and they have their own setup, right? I always tell them this, right? This is about you. This is about the story you want to tell, right? And so even if I have a set list of questions that I've put together because I've done my research, when I see a founder, I ask them a question, right, and they light up around a certain topic, I go off script. I ask them more about that question, right? I want to see why, why there was an emotion that came across their face and their eyes. We can see emotion, right, on people's face, right? I come from, a background where the motto in sales is smile and dial, right? And there's this idea that people can feel, even through the phone, they can feel your energy, your emotion, right? And so it's true, right? There's these different I guess frequencies that our vocals are at when we have certain emotions. A lot of times it's unconscious for us as the person speaking and being an orator, but then for those around us, they pick up on that energy that we give out, right? And so that's just something where I always say, no matter the platform, right, it is really about the story that you want to tell, the emotions you want to elicit to your audience and my audience, right? Because my audience, this platform here through Beyond Normal Media is really used as a vehicle to highlight, the stories of incredible founders to the world, right? The truth is, though, with this, right, the reason why I tell founders this is about the story you want to tell, most of us are not going to get a Netflix doc, right, highlighting our journey, right? But what that means is that we can leverage all these platforms, no matter the social media platform, no matter the medium, whether it's a newsletter, short form clips, long form content, 4K video, 1080p, 720, 480p, whatever the technical definition or specification of it is, that's your ability, like that's your receipt to your growth and your journey that you can really show to the world. Like people will definitely cash in on that, right? And that's why I think right now we are focusing so much on the 1 hour content idea, like the solution, right? It is really here to help founders, right, take back that control of their story. You in an hour you can get so much of your story out that connects with your audience is crazy. I've been having these sessions with founders, business owners, creatives at different levels, different scales. They're at different points in their journey, and it's powerful just to see asking a couple questions and hitting record what comes out. Like you will be surprised. It does not take a lot, but it is up to you to decide, the medium and really what you want to tell with your story. The medium doesn't matter as much, in my humble opinion. Lastly, I have one call to action, right? For those who maybe you've been holding back on trying to tell your story. You think it's too early. You don't think it's the right time. You think the moment may have passed. It has not. This is your sign to go for it. All you need, all you may need, right, is a partner in the process. That's what we do here at Beyond Normal Media, specifically, right? Check out our 1 hour content solution, right, at our site, at our website. I'll put the link in below. I just want to connect, and as I'm sharing our story, right, of how we're thinking about storytelling, we can come up with ways and kind of partner and collaborate to turn your story into something people feel those certain emotions for, and they know it's a real authentic story. And that's what's going to drive people to have community with you, buy your products, leverage your solutions. There's so much opportunity, just thinking about the ways that you can tell your story and connect with your audience. I appreciate you all who have stuck with me through this. Again, this is a part of our testimonial series where we are like kind of telling our story in public, building in public our 1 hour content solution, while also you know uh, leveraging, eating what we're serving, right? In terms of, as we see opportunities for other founders to tell their stories, why are we not going to use those same platforms to, as a use case, as a case study, but ultimately, just to showcase the our thought process and the food for thought that we're bringing to you all, and how we're benefiting from it ourselves. Right? People are going to resonate with that real authentic versus, again, telling somebody and selling somebody a perfect story. So appreciate you all for connecting with me, tuning into this. This is the second in our series where we're going to be spending a couple more episodes really diving into our content strategy and storytelling in particular, and how we're thinking about it in this time we're in. Thank you.